Off with the state of the nation on the week that was with Joachim Makebong as usual. How are you doing, sir?
Very well. Very well.
We always start with sad news and news of death, and we're going to do that again this week, sadly. Nasarawa has been in the news for very weird reasons. As usual, we don't know how many. We've had 20, 30, 80, but the long and short of it is that a lot of policemen were killed. Apparently, they were ambushed and killed by some new sect that is, it's a cult. It's not necessarily Muslim or Christian anymore. It's like there's a whole other one coming up again.
What is beginning to be clear to me is that it seems like for every state in the north, there is one sect or the other that's in operation, and this is happening because the view I have is that because there's so much state breakdown in the north where government simply does not exist. So you have people coming together, forming a sect, and then from there using it to look at how to take care of themselves. It's like OPC here or something. So when you have all those sects like that, the instruction from the Nasarawa state people was that they were supposed to go and crush, quote unquote, crush the sect. That they had asked the leader of the sect to meet with the Nasarawa state government, but he had not agreed to meet with them, and so they were supposed to go on a raid of some sort, because apparently they take oaths, you know, and all of that. And it was when they went for the raid that they now got ambushed, because they seem to have informants and everything inside the police. In securing a place, there are several levels. If you have people who are in operation in your state, you need to know what they are about. You need to know what their intentions are before determining whether they're dangerous or not, and whether you need to crack down or not. We need to understand, we need to hear from the government people themselves, the police and the state governor, to know exactly what they saw or what they heard that made them think they were dangerous enough to go after them, because when they went after them, they now got ambushed.
What I find very weird is how this was sort of what happened as well with the killing of the initial leader of Boko Haram that has set this whole thing ablaze, trying to crush a sect before they become a problem. It makes some sense, but it looks like it hasn't worked in the past with that sort of tactic, and they have tried it again, and it looks like it has backfired. And it makes you wonder, what really is this strategy worth it at the end of the day?
It's not worth it. What you need to do is that you need to interface with the communities. You need to know what is going on. Like I said, you need to know who is operating where. You need to know what their intentions are. You need to know who their leaders are. And then from when you have all of that lined out, you now get to know who is dangerous and who is not dangerous. Many of these things, I think, could be sorted out by having a friendly chat with the leaders of the sect, finding out what they are about, and then telling them, you know what, it's okay. We've seen you, we've heard from you, and then you're okay. So long as you keep the peace, everything is okay. But we need to hear from them, because we don't even know what happened with Muhammad Yusuf in 2009.
Yes.
He was killed. Nobody has explained to us why. Nobody explained to us what they heard or what they saw that made them think that was necessary. And that's what has started all of that. Muhammad Yusuf's killing was one killing too many.
It's been a trigger for all of this. And I mean, we heard about Baga 2 weeks ago with all the deaths. Then there's Bama now, and I don't know. Well, the president cut short his visit to South Africa and Namibia and came back. We heard he held a 4-hour meeting with security chiefs and operatives, and we hope, I don't know, we hope something starts to happen.
The way Nigeria's police has to change.
It definitely, because nothing seems to be making any headway, and the deaths are becoming more and scarier by the week. Speaking of deaths again, we had a plane crash somewhere in Niger. I think that was last week. Then we heard again about another crash they called it a crash landing. Some said it was an emergency landing at the Air Force base in Port Harcourt. But both are also military tied. We thought if the commercial people were not necessarily maintaining, our military should have some sort of, what is going on there as well? Are we supposed to be worried now?
Well, first of all, this issue of information, you don't even know what happened, and you cannot even trust that the information that you're getting is correct. You hear crash landing today, you hear emergency.
So I hear journalists are not allowed to go into ask questions or film anything. Nobody seems to know what happened.
And this is the root of the problem. We talked about this 2 weeks ago. You cannot even agree on death tolls. You cannot even agree on anything. So you have all kinds of things, and then you don't even know what to believe. You want the story to just play out so that you now begin to now try to piece together what happened instead of jumping with the first few reports that you get, because these things are normally not really the whole story.
Okay, moving on now. The INEC said it spent 122.6 billion naira on the 2011 elections. That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
Now there's a whole other drive that's starting again with the registrations that might start this year or next year or thereabouts, and another elections are going to start again. And you know it's going to be a lot more than this. Sometimes I begin to wonder, maybe does President Jonathan have a point with making elections every 6 years? You know, making this tenure 6 years so that we spend less money.
No, not really. Because the issue is, you are trying to create a problem, then you solve it with the single term thing. What INEC got all that money for was to build a system that will now reduce the cost of doing elections over time.
Are we sure it's going to reduce? That's
now,
the problem.
now, if it's not going to reduce the cost of running elections, then it's the problem of the people that set up the system, not the fact that we have elections every 4 years. We are not the only country that has elections every 4 years. In fact, I did a Wikipedia search of countries that have, as in democratic countries that have term limits, and out of over 100 countries, I only saw about a dozen that use single terms. So that's not. So
I think only
that's
Mexico
not the
comes
issue.
to mind for me now. Yeah.
There are a few others about. Yeah, there are a few others. But the thing is that the system is supposed to work, and if they don't work to help, because you have a database existing, and then you now add other names to it, it's supposed to reduce the cost of elections. If it doesn't reduce it, then something is wrong with the implementation, and nothing to do with whether you have 4 terms or 2 terms or single term or anything like that.
Former Inspector General of Police Mike Okiro was appointed the chairman of the Police Commission. There was mixed reactions. I mean, you could argue that okay, he knows these people, so it's a square peg in a square hole. But then again, people were like, okay, he was IG. There was really not sort of change when he was there. I don't know.
I don't know about that appointment. Mike Okiro's tenure as IG was very mixed, to say the least. So I don't know if he's the best person to lead that body. But you know, the president has made the decision, and so we carry on a bit. But hey.
And if anybody doesn't need guidance, it's the police, and hopefully...
I'm not really optimistic about that.
I mean, okay, so basically it's going to be business as usual, you're thinking?
Probably, yeah.
Finally now, the ACN and PDP, of course, are still in their war of words. Yeah. And I watched the two conventions over the weekend. CPC and NPP held their conventions, and there was a lot of trash talking to the PP. What I find very interesting, and I talked about this last week with Faye, who was here, is the fact that as much as they keep claiming, okay, we're progressives, that's what the APC is all about now. What necessarily are they bringing differently to the table? Because I found from the conventions, all the speeches were PDP must go. Is that enough of an ideology? Well,
no, it's not. And if it was not an ideology before, if you could give them a pass before in 2011, we cannot give them a pass now.
Yes.
Because you can see that we have all these problems and they are tied in together. So what I expect from the opposition is I expect the opposition to do what they did in going to Maiduguri the other day. You simply lead and then the president follows. Now, you're supposed to have a string of speeches. For example, a national security speech, an economy speech, an agricultural speech, stuff like that. Because when you have such speeches, you have the people that are advising you on the issues, you know, they are behind you, they endorse what you say, and by doing so, you now begin to lead the debate and give people concrete points on which to start a debate on. But this trash talk is, like you said, something that we hear all the time, and I, for one, I am very, I'm now indifferent to it. What I like to hear is, for example, a national security speech. Nigeria is under-policed. How do we go from where we are to adequate policing levels? How do we go from here to there in terms of training and all of that? But we need people that are going to lay this thing out and begin to lead the debates. If they don't have that, then I don't think it's good enough.
Well, credit to them, at least the political space has become suddenly exciting to some extent, and hopefully we are just about 2 years away. Maybe in the next year we'll see some concrete speeches, like you say, and ideology. And hopefully
But the thing is, just one last thing, that if you're going to have an election in 2 years, you want to begin to lead the debate now, because you want your ideas to sink in. You want people to associate the ideas to your party, and you want people to begin to make choices based on that.
Well, the PC is not born yet. Maybe when they finally get registered, we would have an idea. Thank you very much, Joachim. Always good to have you here. We'll see you